What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams, and today I'm going to be discussing 1984's Caravan of Courage, starring Warwick Davis, Aubree Miller, Eric Walker, Tony Cox, and narrated by the great Burl Ives. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. And today and tomorrow are going to be kind of special for me because I'm going to be discussing the two Ewok films, which are largely forgotten in the grand scheme of things when it comes to the greater Star Wars story. They were made for TV movies, released in 1984 and 1985, respectively. And even though they did get a DVD release, unlike the Star Wars Holiday Special, they're just not that often talked about in the grander scheme of things. And I think it's a darn shame. You know, these are really good, cute, yes, cheesy, but endearing stories to the greater Star Wars saga, which help us explore more the planet of Endor and the Ewoks. The Ewoks, of course, the lovable, cuddly creatures that were originally introduced to us in Return of the Jedi, but these films were set prior to the events in that film having taken place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So that's why, even though these came out in 84 and 85, we cover them here at this point in the saga. So let's get into it, shall we? Our film opens on the forest moon of Endor, and the Tawani family have crash landed on the surface, and their ship has been destroyed. Sindel and Mace, the two children, have wandered off, and the parents, Katerin and Jeremit, are desperately looking for them. The parents are startled by the Gorax and captured. The following morning, Deej, an Ewok, is out in the forest attempting to locate his own Ewok children. Desperate to find his own kids, Deej uses a glider in order to search the forest from up above. The youngest son of Deej, Wicket, wants to accompany his father on the search, but is told that he must stay behind. And while searching for his children, Deej spots something shiny down below. But he ignores it, and he proceeds to track down and find his kids. Once he's found them, the three Ewoks begin to journey back to their village, walking, and they go and investigate the shiny object, and they end up discovering the wrecked star cruiser of the Tawani family. And upon investigating it, Deej discovers Sindel, who's hiding within the ship. Mace, Sindel's older brother, sees the Ewoks with his little sister and becomes protective. And he doesn't know who these little creatures are, doesn't know if they're friendly or enemies, so he immediately becomes defensive, ready to shoot to kill with his little blaster. In fact, he thinks that the little creatures could be responsible for the disappearance of their parents. But once Mace realizes that the Ewoks just want to help them, they end up going with them to the Ewok village, and Sindel begins to feel very ill. Mace tries to get her to eat, but she ends up passing out and becoming bedridden for a couple of days. The Ewoks rush to her aid and bring her some medicine, which wakes her up out of her coma-like state, but she's still very sick. The next day, Mace and some of the Ewoks go to a special tree in the forest in order to obtain the liquid from it, which they use to make the medicine that they gave Sindel. And they need more to make more medicine. After another dose of the medicine and another night's sleep, when Mace wakes up the next day, he finds Sindel up and feeling better. She's talking to Wicket and teaching him how to say words. That evening, Mace retrieves his gun from the Ewoks while they sleep, and he and Sindel run off back to their star cruiser. They stop to rest, and they build a fire, which attracts a beast to attack them. It chases them through the forest, and they are able to hide from the beast within a tree trunk. The next morning, the Ewoks track Mace and Sindel down, and they kill the beast that's trying to eat them. They notice that the monster is wearing the life monitor of one of the parents. So Mace asks the Ewoks where this beast came from. And they send Mace to Logray, an Ewok wise man of sorts. Logray spins a dreidel type of device, which reveals the parents being held captive by the Gorax, in a place where no Ewok has ever returned from. And despite the heavy circumstances and conditions, the Ewoks vow to help their new friends rescue their parents. But before the journey can begin, Logray gives each member of the caravan an item from the Ewok totem in order to help them with their quest, along with 2 items that they must give to Ewoks that they recruit on the journey. The team begins their quest, and they come upon an Ewok woodsman named Chukatrak, who is persuaded to join the caravan because of his abilities with an axe. Mace sees what he can do, and he feels that he will be a good asset to them in a fight. Next, they end up meeting an Ewok priestess named Kink, who young Sindel requests to join the caravan, and the priestess agrees. After days of trekking across the moon of Endor, the caravan finally reaches the fortress of the Gorax, and Mace uses his gun to blast a rock which reveals a hidden entrance to the Gorax's lair. The caravan enters the fortress and demands that the young children, Sindel, Wicket, and Whittle, all stay behind. It's going to be too dangerous. Only the elder Ewoks and Mace are allowed to proceed at this point. The team reaches the Gorax and are able to free Katerin and Jeremit. And during the rescue, Chukatrak attempts to distract the Gorax so everyone can escape. But sadly, Chukatrak dies in the process. Katerin shoots the Gorax, and Mace throws Chukatrak's axe and proceeds to kill the Gorax with it. And our film draws to its conclusion with the Tawani family reunited, grateful to have each other once again, and they decide to stay with the Ewok friends in their village while they work on repairing their star cruiser. Once again, this film is very, very often forgotten. I remember seeing this film when I was younger. It came out in 1984, so I would have been roughly about 8 years old at its release. I probably didn't discover it for a couple years later, so I was probably about 10 when I saw this for the first time. And I just remember it being this cute little story that very much helped expand the Star Wars universe at a time where we didn't think we were going to get anything after Return of the Jedi. We had the primary trilogy. The holiday special aired once and was never heard from again. And then we had these 2 films. And they did a great job at the time. Now, in retrospect, you look back and they're kind of corny. But at the time, they did a great job in, like I said, expanding the Star Wars universe, giving us a little bit more about the Ewoks. And you can totally tell that the casting choices were made based off of the original saga and what was popular at the time. I'll pop the image back up again. You can tell that Eric Walker, Mace, was cast because he bears a resemblance to Mark Hamill. In my personal opinion, maybe they were going to make the Tawani family related to the Skywalkers because there's a striking resemblance between young Mace and Luke, especially Luke in A New Hope, and especially when you see Mace running around in his orange jumpsuit, very much akin to that of an X-Wing fighter pilot. Aubree Miller, 4-year-old little girl, I believe was cast because she kind of looked like Drew Barrymore playing Gertie in E.T. She had that same innocence, that same cuteness, that same naive nature, being so young. I fully believe that is why those casting choices were made. What do you guys think? Am I spot on in my assessment of that? Let me know. If you're watching the premiere, the live stream, leave your comments over here. If you're watching on demand, let me know what you think down here. But I think it's a crying shame that these films were ignored for as long as they were. And yes, like I said, they did get a DVD release. But once it was gone, man, and out of print, that movie became so hard to come by. I would see them go on the secondary market, eBay and etc., for 40 or 50 bucks for the DVD set. And it was both movies in the package. But that's just insane that it was that in demand that people would pay $50 for it. But that out of demand that it became that out of print so quickly. Thank you very much to Eric Walker for starting a petition to get Disney Plus to add these to their library. They bought Lucasfilm. Disney bought Lucasfilm. They owned the Star Wars franchise. They then got a hold of 20th Century Fox. So they've got these movies in their archives, and yet Disney Plus had no plans to add these to the Star Wars hub. But thanks to a petition started by Eric Walker, who plays Mace, they added these to Disney Plus. That's where my graphics come from. You can find them in the Vintage Star Wars hub of Disney Plus. Both these movies, along with the Ewoks animated series, which spun off of these two films because they were popular enough at the time that the Ewoks then got a cartoon series out of the deal. And you can also find the animated short from the Star Wars Holiday Special that introduced the world to Boba Fett in the Vintage Star Wars hub on Disney Plus. I highly recommend giving these movies a look if you've never seen them, because they're just that special. I won't go as far as to say they're good, because everything is subjective. We all know that. Me and Jeff discuss that regularly on Dad's Not Always on Wrestling. Everything is subjective. I think these movies are great. But, Joe Blow from Kokomo, who views these for the first time here in 2021, may look at these and think that they're just complete and utter cheese and they're not worth the celluloid that they were filmed on. To each their own, man. But these films hold a special place in my heart. When it comes to my review and my rating for this, I give this film, Caravan of Courage, 4 stars. Like I said, I think it did a tremendous job in expanding the greater Star Wars universe, expanding the lore of the Ewoks. We got to meet more of the characters than we really did in Return of the Jedi. We got more of Wicket, who was obviously the most popular Ewok coming out of Return of the Jedi. Warwick Davis, of course, would go on to do many, many things over the years. Willow, Leprechaun, Harry Potter, etc. And it all started with his portrayal of Wicket the Ewok in Return of the Jedi in these two films. But 4 out of 5 stars for me. What do you guys think? Those of you that have seen this, am I giving this too much praise? Am I looking at these through rose-colored glasses because of my sentimental nature and when I saw these for the first time as a youngster? Let me know. I'm open to all constructive criticism. Y'all know that. Leave your comments over here if you're watching the live stream or down here if you're watching on demand. Let's make sure we get out there on the social media. Try to get those hashtags trending for me. Hashtag Casa D18 Studios, hashtag Renegades Reviews, hashtag Renegade Returns, and of course, the ever popular hashtag Shenanigans. We interrupt this episode of Renegades Reviews for an important announcement about
merchandising.
Merchandising? What's that?
Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Merchandising, merchandising, where the real money's made.
Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network for all the t-shirts you see here from the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham himself. You can get shirts for the Jeff Meacham Network, Talk Wrestling, as well as the red and gold Meachamania shirts. And while you're there, don't forget to get your shirts of the Casa D18 Studios Brotherhood, the Dads on Wrestling shirt, the Renegade J.J. Williams, Statboy Sports Bar, and the hashtag StatBoyApproved shirt. Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network and score your shirts today. Make sure you get out there. Do what that commercial just told you. Go to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network for all your official merchandise of the Casa D18 Studios Brotherhood. Get you your Renegade J.J. Williams shirt, Dad's Not Always on Wrestling, Statboy Sports Bar, hashtag StatBoyApproved, hashtag Shenanigans. Get you all your official merchandise of the Jeff Meacham Network. 3 different designs of the Jeff Meacham Network logo to choose from, Meachamania, Talk Wrestling, and so much more. Tomorrow, right back here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, make sure you join me for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews when I talk about the sequel to Caravan of Courage, 1985's The Battle for Endor, starring Warwick Davis, Aubree Miller, Wilford Brimley, Karel Stroiken, Sian Phillips, Tony Cox, and Eric Walker. You're not going to want to miss out on that tomorrow. The further exploration of Endor by the Tawani family, Little Sindel, Mace, back for another adventure. If you enjoyed Caravan of Courage, you're not going to want to miss the Battle for Endor. Thank you very much for joining me here today for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. I appreciate each and every one of my loyal fans watching along on the live stream, commenting over here, watching on demand, leaving your thoughts down here. Thank you all for joining me and riding along with me. Every single one of my loyal viewers and fans, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you. I will see you guys next time, and may the Force be with you.